Hey everybody, Playtendoguy here and welcome to my review of Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. The Street Fighter franchise has been going around for years now, and to celebrate 3 decades of Street Fighter action, Capcom this year has already treated fans to the arcade edition of Street Fighter V, which finally made the 2-year-old game feel like a complete package. But now Capcom is treating us to yet another Street Fighter game, a collection of classic Street Fighter games all in one package. But does it make for a memorable experience? Let's find out. The Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection bundles up 12 Street Fighter games, including the original Street Fighter, 5 different versions of Street Fighter 2, as well as the 3 Alpha games and the 3 Street Fighter 3 games. It's certainly a lot of Street Fighter to get stuck into. Let's talk about the games on offer here. The original Street Fighter released some 30 years ago, and while it did launch the franchise, it's not as iconic as the other games in the series, and it does show the game isn't very good. There's only one playable character here, and a limited range of attacks and floaty physics to make for an interesting look at the humble beginnings for the series. Now on to the 5 Street Fighter 2 games, and this is certainly where the series finally hit its stride. The first Street Fighter 2 is the most basic of the Street Fighter 2 games on offer, as it only features a limited number of characters and moves. But the next one, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, introduces new balance into all characters whilst adding the 4 boss characters from the original as playable characters. The list of Street Fighter 2 games continues with Hyper Fighting, which steps things up a notch by increasing the game speed to make fighting even more precise and quicker. Then we have the glorious Super Street Fighter 2, which improves the graphics, add even more new characters and loads of tweaks to the gameplay. And the final game in the collection of Street Fighter 2 games is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is arguably the definitive version of Street Fighter 2, as it boosts up the game speed, adds super combos, adds fan favourite Akuma as a playable character, whilst also tweaking the game even more. Now on to Street Fighter Alpha games, and the first game acts as a sort of prequel to the second game, featuring younger versions of all the characters, whilst also opting for a more cartoon art style. The game continues with the super combo that was introduced in Turbo, but tweaked the system to include 3 separate gauges. There's also the Alpha block and air counter added to the game, which is great. The sub-series continued with Alpha 2, which includes loads of new fighters and stages, as well as loads of tweaks to the gameplay, including the custom combo to make for a much better game than the original. The final game in the Alpha series, Alpha 3, released after Street Fighter 3, and includes loads of new characters, stages, musics, and the inclusion of new fighting styles called AISMs. Both Alpha 2 and 3 are arguably the best games in the compilation, and all stand up today after all those years. The final collection of games is the Street Fighter 3 sub-series. The first game is New Generation, and it has much more smooth animation to make for a really nice looking game, as well as introducing loads of new characters, with only Ryu and Ken being the returning cast members. The game also includes the revolutionary parry mechanics and the ability to pick what super combo you want to use. Its sequel, Second Impact, is a modest update compared to the previous games, as it only includes a few new characters, some modest tweaks, and the return of the bonus rounds, which haven't been seen since the Street Fighter 2 days. But the final game in the sub-series, Third Strike, is where it's all at, featuring loads of new characters, including the return of Chun-Li, as well as new stages and tweaks to make for the best Street Fighter 3 title. As for the game modes on offer, you have the arcade modes of all 12 games, offline multiplayer for you and a friend. There's also practice mode, but alas it's only for Hyper Fighting, Turbo, Alpha 3 and Third Strike. It would have been nice if all the games had a practice mode, but these are the most updated versions of each iteration, so it makes sense. The game features multiplayer in both online and local flavour. The online mode has both ranked and casual matches, but as with the practice mode, the online mode is limited to the same 4 games. The online itself runs rather well, with the occasional connection issue here and there. The local multiplayer does feature your typical 2-player mode, but if you have the Switch version, you can link up to 4 Switches together to make for an 8-player tournament. It's a great feature if you can get the players. The game also offers a nice little history mode that offers a nice little behind-the-scenes look at the development and history of the franchise, with plenty of artwork to look at, trivia about each game, and information and character models for each characters, as well as a history chart that tells you all about the yearly happenings with the franchise. The history mode is a great little look at the series' history, but it would have been nice if they included a documentary about the series as well. But what we've got is still very enjoyable. As for the presentation, all the 12 games on offer here are absolutely perfectly emulated and run superbly here. The team at Digital Eclipse have certainly outdone themselves here. At any point you can pause the game and change and tweak the look of the game. You can choose to have the game in its original screen size, all zoomed in a little. Both of these options have some lovely looking border art that certainly spruce up the game a lot. And the final option here is to have the game stretch fully out to the 16:9 to fill your typical TV. This option is a bit ugly on TV, but if you play in handheld mode on the Switch, full screen mode looks rather nice. You can also add the old CRT and arcade filters to make for an even more retro experience. The game is very impressive in how you can quit and swap games so quickly and easy. It's very impressive indeed. You can also save your game at any time and pick up where you left off, which is certainly a handy feature as well. Conclusion time now, and Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is a brilliant celebration of gaming's most famous fighting franchise, featuring 12 different games spanning many different years, and while these are only the arcade ports and not the console ports, there's still a lot of content here. Online is a bit iffy, but still offers plenty of fun, so that's why I'm giving Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection an 8.5 out of 10 with the title of Great. Thank you for watching my review, like, rate and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming, bye!